ourselves in the spirit of things. We lose our sight when we put our trust in things of this material world, of things that fade away. Yet we keep coming back, 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 keep coming back. goes, there is also misery. It's no mystery. And you and I, we got history, yeah. Wherever love flows, there is also tragedy. When we're in too deep. And you and I, we got history, yeah. Go look in the mirror, say, hey, I'm sorry for all the pain. I'm sorry for all the pain. Go look in the mirror, say, hey, I'm sorry for all the pain. I'm sorry for all the pain. Go look in the mirror, say, hey, I'm sorry for all the pain. I'm sorry for all the pain.
Cool, right? Want to know where I got it? Well, look, go to CS.MONEY. It's a trade platform and a marketplace at the same time. Just choose, click, and get. Good luck, bro.
Alright everyone, welcome back as we head on into the second map. It is best of 3, of course, between Let's Quit and Entity Gaming. And of course, back on map number 1, rather, we did see Let's Quit being able to take that victory. Bit of a team kill there by DG in the knife round, but he does redeem himself and still take that win. What I was going to say is, of course, we did see Let's Quit taking that victory 16-10 on the map choice of Entity. So coming on to Inferno now, you do have to be a little bit worried. This is where Let's Quit on paper should be feeling a little bit more confident and comfortable in themselves, especially considering they do have a stand-in. I feel like it could work out a little bit better here on Inferno for them. But I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's a map that most teams are able to play, so I am hoping that Entity will still be able to put up a good fight and show us what they are capable of. But 2-0, it is definitely likely at this point, or at least quite possible for Let's Quit. Can't quite recall. Let me double check what the decider will be if needed. Okay, so if needed, the decider map will be Mirage. So if we can see Entity Gaming taking taking the win here, rather, and sending it on over towards Mirage, that would be a pretty interesting one. Let's see, some potential aggression early on here from the CT side. The coach getting aggressive alongside the flash, takes down Snorlax immediately. As Sai trades one back, so 1 for 1 early on. I mean, that's something that tends to favor the T side, so Entity are going to be pretty happy with that trade. At this point, though, where are they looking to try and take the actual push is the question. They find that aggression from Reckless over towards B. He's entrusted to solo that side of the map, and he pushes down, he peeks in towards Banana. There's then at that point no one left to actually defend the bomb site. It gives the bomb plant over without really much of a fight being able to actually be put up. An interesting one. Sai going to go ahead and drop DG, of course, and with that now, it's QZ and Sakula that are left to try and get this one done. They do smoke off the bomb. They have a defuse kit to work with, at least. It's in the hands of Sakula, but he's got to get across. The opening, of course, which won't be allowed by X-Kali, who was ready on the Glock. Skills then there to finish it off on the QZ, and that is going to be Entity Gaming picking up the opening pistol round yet again. A reminder, we did see them picking up the pistol back on Dust 2 as well, before, of course, ending up falling against the Force Buy in the round that immediately followed. There you go. Put the scoreboard up for a moment. But yeah, this time no Force Buy actually going to come in from Let's Quit, and that's not too surprising. Because, of course, this is Inferno, a map where having the utility, etc. on those buy rounds is just so important. They do buy pistols, so I don't think that... I don't expect to see Let's Quit buy in this next round. They haven't completely ecoed here. And if they were to go for the buy in the next round, sure, they'd get the rifles maybe onto the majority of the players other than Sakula, of course, but they would be left with so little utility. So, ooh! I mean, that works, just sprint across mid. So it's likely round 4 is where they look to get the actual full buy out. But it doesn't mean they can't get anything done in this round right now. One kill initially gave me a little bit of hope for them to make this a costly one, but pretty quickly those hopes have been snatched away. 4-on-2 in play. DG quite low. He's actually the last man left standing now with that Mag 7. If he can get that kill, that would be a nice little bonus on when he actually ends up killing the player in the background. Not quite the one he was initially shooting at. Skills was also low. If he had got that there, that would have been an extra $900 as well. Would have been really nice to boost him up for the buy in this next round. But either way, as I said, I expect him to take the eco here. And that seems to be the case indeed. A flash being bought up for QZ. Flash for Sakula as well. Some Deagle's been upgraded and a nade then brought out onto the coach. Against this eco, they are taking a good bit of damage. 2 players already going down. It's Sakula who could maybe find one more, but that isn't going to happen. Finds a couple of players there from Entity that end up just peeking him at the same time. 3-0. Entity this time actually getting themselves off to a much, much better start. Are they going to be able to keep this up now is the question. If they can get rolling early on the T side here of Inferno and get off to a very, very strong start for themselves, that could be a good sign about a potential map 3. Here we go, the first full buy, of course, coming out for Let's Quit. This is where Entity are really going to be tested to see what they can actually do here on this T side of Inferno. As it looks like Let's Quit early on, just want to try and get that banana control. Just the 2 players. A lot of the time on Inferno, rather, you will see 3 players at the beginning being put over towards banana to get the control, but not this time around. Instead, they have a nice strong defense set up towards middle to hold this one down. That boost being in, of course, QZ on along with the op. There's a player in the pit as well that actually has been mollied out. But Skills doesn't spot him crossing over to underneath the balcony, but they have no idea that Skills is on the bomb site. That allows for QZ to be taken down so easily. Reckless will go ahead and trade it back and ends up actually peeking out to drop a second player. As Snorlax goes down, Sai takes one there. A bit of an over-aggressive play, I would say, in towards the boiler, but still, a 2-on-1 from to try and recover from. That isn't going to happen. And that second up, if they want, can be retrieved, which they will actually go ahead and pick it up for Reckless. He may drop that over, though, of course, as you would probably expect. Ooh, excuse me. Bad time to get hiccups, not going to lie. But yeah, QZ is going to be the one to take that up, as you would expect. It has been he and DG mostly that have rocked those up, so not too surprising. Pistol's only being brought out into this round here with a bit of utility for the T side. Nothing too heavily invested on. I mean, they will have plenty of money to get the full buyout in this upcoming round. Looks like they want to try and actually fight for the banana control this time around. Up against the rifles, that's dangerous. Op being the initial point of contact, trying to bait them back in towards the coach. I believe his name is Chrisma. He is sitting and waiting with this M4, already finding 2 kills. Issue is eventually tries to get into the smoke and see if he could put a stop to them actually making it onto the bomb site, but it cost him his life. Doesn't really cost him too much else in the round. Overall, though, a couple of kills being found there from Entity. They can be happy with that. But I don't think Let's Quit are going to be too demoralized having lost 2 players. Not ideal, though, of course. Good bit of reinvestment now does have to come back in. Here we go. UMP, unfortunately, being in play here for Entity. I mean, Inferno is a map where there's a lot of close range positions where that UMP can still be quite useful. How is Sai being dropped all the way down to 4 HP? He tried to get that initial banana control, I believe, and unfortunately paid a heavy price for it. He's all the way back in spawn right now as well, so he wasn't even too close there. Must have been the first one who tried to go in alongside Excali. Oh, this Mag 7 up close from Sakula gets one. The smoke beginning to fade away as well. The second comes through on the skills. It's just Mag 7 headshots. Fill up the kill feed. Eventually, Sai taking one of his own, even with 4 HP, was able to make it work over towards Banana, but there is still 2 players on this side of the map. With the man advantage, and with also having quite a large HP advantage over Sai, who's down low, they can just play a bit of a standard setup here. 2 towards either side of the map. But look at this from Reckless. I mean, he doesn't let go of W. He's pushing straight down mid right now. And Entity have no idea. That smoke, though, actually connects against the player in the CT spawn and gives them a bit of an idea about what's going on. Sai shooting his teammate in the back. He's got the bomb. That's going to be the bomb dropped in the open. There we have it. That pretty much puts a shut to this round before they can find anything else. Amaterasu trying to flank in behind construction. Also ends up getting taken down. 3-3 now being the score as it's equalized, and it should be Let's Quit going ahead and taking themselves the lead, as of course we can see the economy for Entity Gaming is not quite strong enough for a full buy to come in. They will have to take the eco. Some pistols at least been upgraded, a small bit of utility again, leaving themselves with just over $2,000 onto everyone to ensure that they will get a great buy in this next round. As they, of course, will be rocking the full utility, I believe, actually, in this next round as well. QZ, Reckless, charging down mid. That's one way to do it. They do end up both losing their lives, but not before they are able to drop it into a initially 4-on-1, now 3-on-1. Amaterasu trying to see what he can get done. I was going to say he could have potentially got that aggression down Banana, but took the turn to check up top mid instead, and the timing was a little bit unfortunate. Onto the buy now. Let's see what Entity can get done. Look how aggressive this play is. Straight up through Banana. DGQ up close. Needs to get so much work done. And he's only able to find one before going down. A rotation now going to have to come in as the bomb already getting planted. A man advantage in play for Entity Gaming on the after plant here over towards B is going to be so difficult for Let's Quit to try and come back into. They do have a decent amount of money at least, so it seems like they may want to go for it. If they can find a kill quickly, it definitely gives them the opportunity, and they still have some utility also. So a smoke down towards Banana. They still have 2 more smokes actually, so this is definitely still winnable. Flash is going over. The issue is Amaterasu playing up close to the CT smoke. As soon as it starts to fade away, he's not blinded by those flashes and is able to pounce. He takes one before going down. At this point, though, the time has been ran down enough that they can go ahead and, or rather that they have to go ahead and just back away and save. And unfortunately for Reckless, he's not allowed to do so. It's all on to QZ now. He's actually, unfortunately, got timing a little bit on CT. I don't think he realized that the player actually blew up to the bomb, though. Did eventually. 4-4. Entity, if they can just keep grinding out these rounds here early on the T side, bring it up to 6 or 7 at the halftime, they can be pretty happy. What was the first map score? First map was 16-10 in favor of Let's Quit. Back on Dust 2. That net should do some damage. Small amount on towards Amaterasu. Only dropped down to 80. Does make things a little bit easier for those M4s, of course. One shot towards the head. The effect of the helmet pretty much being negated now for him. As this time around, Let's Quit have really slowed down the pace. That previous round, we've seen how aggressive they were getting, especially just taking those peaks in general over towards B. This time they don't want to really take that risk, realizing how aggressive Entity had gotten that previous round where they were just up to the top of Banana almost immediately. Even with the Molotovs, etc. down, the smokes were just dropped, the flashes were thrown in, and it was just a little bit too much for them to handle. This time though, Entity, they have just under a minute remaining now. Full Banana control, they're looking for the control in towards middle. They are going to have to try and contend with this op though, of course, that is ready in the hands of QZ. Again, a collateral comes in. We've seen so many of them today in the previous best of 3. I think we've seen some in the first map of this one as well. Snorlax pulls that one back to avenge his dead teammates, but it's still a man disadvantage for them to try and overcome. They're bringing it around towards B, and they actually have successfully sold a bit of a fake here. DG is going to be left in position on his own right now. He has called for the coach to make his way back around, and actually, most importantly, he is a Molotov, so that's going to be horrendous for the T side. It's doing so much damage, it's slowing them down, and it's pretty much led to their demise. I mean, it would have been difficult either way, but unfortunately not able to get too much else done in this round after what was a pretty solid start. And again, Entity just being put back down onto these pistols now. Got a bit of utility available. 2 smokes, 4 flashes, making their way up mid. This is probably going to be a bit of an A execute, potentially trying to pile out of the apartments. Just the waterfall out of balcony. Doesn't look like it's really going to be allowed to happen though, as the round has barely just begun and already it is only side that remains. He catches Sakula at least getting aggressive, drops the Mag 7. Not really a peek that's needed when you have a Mag 7 at that range, in all honesty, but his teammates don't allow for really any other damage to be found, so it's still a pretty clean round, all things considered. 6-4. This is where Entity Gaming are allowed to get onto the buy once again, and ideally where they want to start picking up another round, another couple of rounds. If they can bring it up to, if they can take this one now, take one more gun round off the back of it, suddenly at that point Let's Quit would be on an eco, and Entity would be able to take themselves the lead, and most likely the lead for the half time. Here we go. The only weakness really been in the arsenal of Entity in this round is that Galil, of course, for skills, but he was willing to sacrifice down so that he could get the extra utility. Although we still have plenty of money left. Still at $800. So it's surprising that he didn't just go for the AK. He would have had enough. Also, I guess, making sure that he has enough left to buy in the next round, because they do have full loss bonus. So, 3 of them would be able to buy in the next round if they lose this one. If they got a bomb plant, they all would. But I think ideally they should probably be focusing on this one, which they are. Opening kill being found in their favor. It's going to be traded back, but unfortunately for Reckless, he didn't expect the second player to be ready in Boiler to pop out for the refrag. Molotov then being dropped in that position, but QZ instantly forced back off, and that's going to be some good mid control here being found for Entity. Oh, looking to get aggressive again, pushing forward, spots out one player, there's another to try and follow him up, but he won't be successful. It's Excali eventually comes in with the headshot, though there's a player up on the balcony that is easily dealt with, and suddenly it is all onto the coach. 2 players so low on health. If those fights went the other way, right now this could be instead Let's Quit sitting with a potential 3-on-1. Of course, that's not the case, though, and the final player rotating in through mid will be spotted and taken down. Entity get 5. There is still enough, as I said, for Let's Quit to get one more buy-in. And even then, I think they would maybe still have a little bit of money left over. You see the op coming out. I'm not too sure why Sakula is so heavily favouring this Mag 7. Had it out on Dust 2 as well. Was playing it up close to the long doors, of course. I mean, he had some decent showings with it. Could have been dropped the rifle, I believe, in this round, though. Yeah, Reckless could have given it over, but maybe it's not needed. QZ getting aggressive here with his AWP early on, already kicking things off with the first blood in favour of Let's Quit. As it looks like he will find a little bit more action towards the apartments. Needs to be careful. Dropping that Molotov just in time. Spotted one player jumping across. And now just looks to smoke it instead. Gets that angle towards Boiler. Right now it looks like Entity are going to be just seeing if they can get that control in towards mid. There's still plenty of time left. The issue is they have no control on Banana, so they will have to work their way back and take Banana control if they want to give themselves options very soon. Otherwise, they'll probably be funneled towards this A-bomb site with no chance of being able to go back. But there we go. 1 kill eventually coming in. Sakula, he pounces at the bottom of Banana to go ahead and claim the head of Sai. As it is now a 4-on-1, with Amaterasu being the last man standing, and of course he is also being flanked out and spammed through the smoke in the end. Another round being added onto the board for Let's Quit as they increase that lead up 7-5. And as we can see for the T side, 4 of the players can buy. It's only Amaterasu who can't. So, I mean, they may just go for it. Let's see what the decision is. There we go, yeah. The Krieg being brought out, 8Ks, couple of UMPs. Skills again, willing to always go for the weaker weapons, even when he has a little bit of money spare. Kind of just ensuring that he'll always be able to get that utility, etc. out. Playing for the team. But here we go, Snorlax actually managed to catch that aggression right there. I mean, that was reckless to say the least. QZ had already shown himself with that op shot, and then Reckless kind of just swings out wide. Doesn't even manage to get any shots off, I don't believe, before he got dropped. 5-on-4 now in play. As again, this could be just back and forth rounds, which is never ideal, especially when you're on the CT side, because it keeps your economy in a very shaky position, keeps it very fragile. Looks like they do want to try and commit on towards the A-bomb site in the end as well. 2 players over towards short, another one rotating in as we see DG with the up, taking position in library, but unfortunately he will be smoked off just before he can set himself up to get vision. Looking to see if he can maybe push out. I believe it's QZ with his up coming in from mid that gets taken down. And with that now, again, just all left onto the coach for Let's Quit. Over on B, there's not really much that he can do. It just has to be the save. See, of course, Entity already having an up, not wanting to take that one on long. Also wanting to ensure that it's not going to be retrieved by anyone, or by the final player, rather, of Let's Quit. One kill being found. At this point, though, I don't think it's really worthwhile for him hunting the damage too much, because he does need to drop over. Is it going to be worth for them to buy, actually, is the question, or maybe allow for Entity to have this one and go into the next one with a full buy? And it was definitely something they could have been considering, but they decide against it. James just going to give over from, well, not James, but that's the name he's going by. Just going to give over from Mass, even though he had enough for an M4, wanted that extra utility. Couple M4s, a FAMAS, a Mag 7, and an op. Not the ideal buy, and most importantly, if this doesn't work out for Let's Quit, then they're on an even worse investment in the following round, and that could give Entity the 8-7 lead at halftime. But look at this, a quick B rush going to be coming in. The coach is ready, spraying away with the M4. He joins alongside his teammate as they just completely decimate any hope here for that B rush working out for Entity. The smoke there, even more damage being put in. Eventually Snorlax goes down and Sai is left in a 1-on-5. Barely even any damage has been put in. Sakula took 26 points of damage and that's it. Sai having been forced all the way back off towards the spawn pretty much. Probably wants to save, but is he going to be allowed to? Most likely not. Because, well, I mean, I don't think they'll try and hunt him down too aggressively, but it does mean he will be sitting for quite a while. And then again, Reckless is always living up to his name. He's in the spawn right now, although not realizing quite where that final player is. May have heard the scope now, actually. Maybe not, because he doesn't really seem to be calling it over to his teammates. Oh, the timing. It is very awkward. Not sure why Auto Director wants us to watch the player top mid. Nothing happening up there. It's all Reckless, and it's none of Reckless apparently now, because Sai has gotten rid of him pretty quickly. They know where the op is now at the very least, but they still have to try and hunt it down, and I don't know if that's worthwhile, because they themselves don't have very much money. They're going to have to reinvest into this next round. There we go. It does end up coming in either way. So, I mean, they didn't have to lose anything else in their attempts to stop it. Apologies, didn't mean to hit the console button. As I said, it'll be a similar buy here for Entity, if not worse, and it is a bit worse, as you can see. Not terrible. Again, it's something that you can make work. 3 AKs, a Galil, and a UMP. Definitely possible. I don't think they're going to be too upset about what they have to work with, but let's see. Are they going to be able to make it happen? Let's Quit right now with their double op setup, with all the utility they could ask for, pretty much. I'm surprised Reckless hasn't bought a defuse kit, considering it's the last round of the half. He's the only one without one. If that ends up losing them the round, that'd be hilarious. Oh, Sakula taking a little bit of a dink there from that UMP. Needs to be careful, just smokes it and backs off, but it does also allow for the rest of those Entity players to go ahead and group up behind the smoke, but it doesn't matter if he's just spamming them down. There we go, gets a second eventually. There is one more being X-Cali that he's already dropped down to 66 as well. So some really good damage early on in this round being found in favor of Let's Quit alongside the 2-man advantage. Roscoe finding one, but so far that's really the only success that has been found for Entity in this round. Reckless again getting aggressive. I mean, we've come to expect that of him. He is a little bit crazy, it seems. Given some opportunity for Amaterasu to try and step up in this situation, but still with 3 opponents to find, as long as massive mistakes aren't made here by Let's Quit, he shouldn't really be given too much chance, too much hope at all to actually get this one done. There we go. Okay, he finds Sakula. Eventually, though, making his way down, will be spotted as his legs are spammed away in the boiler. 9-6 at halftime here for Let's Quit. Reminder, they did take that first map 16-10. Here on Inferno being their map choice, leading 9-6 at halftime. But I mean, that's about as close as you'd expect it to be. Main issue for me is that, of course, if you have a look at that scoreboard right there, it was the 3 rounds in the beginning that Entity were able to pick up, and then after that they didn't really manage to chain anything together at all. It was 3 lone rounds that they ended up just kind of scraping together. So even with the 6 rounds at the halftime, I still think they could struggle a little bit heading onto their CT side, but who knows? Pick up that pistol, get off to a good start again, and at that point the map 3 could be looking fairly likely. Here we go. Getting back into it. As I said, this is quite an important pistol round. Entity buying up dual Berettas onto X-Kali and Nayad as well being brought out. Just Kevlar elsewhere. So no defuse kit. I'd expect them to probably be getting a little bit aggressive here potentially. On the other hand, Let's Go have 2 players with utility to work with. It's Sakula and QZ. And Nade, 3 flashes and 2 smokes is what they bring out in total. And look at his B stack. 4 players on towards B here. 4 Entity to begin the round. Maybe a little bit of a read. Maybe they didn't know what their what their opponents rather like to do here on this map. But although the initial aggression and initial presence was actually shown over towards Banana, we can see that Let's Go have already fallen back off. They've gone ahead and shifted their attention towards this A side as well, instead rather. And Snorlax is going to be the one to try and hold it down, although a quick flank through Banana could put a stop to it before it even really begins. Sai going to be able to find one. Sakula goes down. DG, he will find a very important frag to deal with the player on that bomb site, and that should give them the bomb plant. They line up for QZ on short. This is quickly crumbling. X-Kali with one on the dual Berettas. Amaterasu actually ends up finding them one as well, and now Reckless, he pushes forward. That's dangerous. If he got dropped there, then suddenly it's a 1v2 for the coach to try and win out. So it would have been very difficult. What was a 4v2 there for Let's Quick, kind of them taking the fights is what made it a 2v2 and made it winnable for Entity. So they do need to be a little bit more careful in those after plans, but it worked in the end. 10-6 as double digits are found. And of course now a full eco going to be coming in, apart from a P250 and a Zeus that have been invested into here for Entity. Mach 10 in the hands of Sakula. He knows they're up against at the very most kind of pistols and Kevlar, so the Mach 10 opportunity to build up money will go ahead and take that as he spots the back of X-Kali. Probably could have went for the knife to be fair, but wasn't sure if there maybe could have been a player up to the left in the hallway, so wasn't really worthwhile. We've seen some strange knives, a strange attempt at a knife rather back on map number 1, so we don't blame them for not trying it again. 4-on-4 though right now in play, and an AK actually has been retrieved. Amaterasu, he'll be able to stop this bomb plant. There we go, gets himself one. Trying to fight against the player up in the graveyard as well is a little bit too difficult at range. As eventually that Mach 10 comes in useful to shut down what was an attempted, I guess, play there by Skills to come in and help out his teammate while he was serving as a bit of a distraction. Tapping the bomb there, trying to see if they can bait anyone out into the peak. It is Snorlax and Sai over on long. There we go, quick headshot being found. DGQ actually ends up taking one on long as well as he flanked around from behind, I believe. And that leaves it all onto Amaterasu in the apartments. They knew he had been there for a very long time and eventually deal with him. Entity come onto their first buy of the half. Up. FAMAS and 3 M4s. So really the only weakness being that FAMAS. Utility-wise, it's not amazing, especially considering this is Inferno. They only have 2 smokes right now. They have 1 Molotov, some flashes. It could be a lot stronger. Actually, they have 3 smokes, so it was a little bit wrong. But still not ideal considering there's a minute and a half. Now they have 2 smokes with a minute and 25. So my point still does stand. And also, of course, another issue being that they have no defuse kit, so if it comes down to a retake, especially towards B, without that defuse kit, a lot of the time you just can't really justify going for the retake unless you have a pretty big advantage in terms of the manpower. Early on again, Let's Quit just taking themselves that map control. 3 players up through Banana. Still a minute remaining, so they might try and see what they can get done on middle, and that's exactly what they're going to be going for. Sakula getting flashed out. DG, he's the one that was looking to follow him up, but I don't think they're going to be going for it. No one's really challenging mid from Entity, so I think they kind of realize that they don't really have to put too many players towards it just to get the control, unless they want to actually push the bomb site. But here we go. Sakula's going to try and push out long. Most importantly, there's a little bit of a B stack coming in right now. And as their attempted lurker into the spawn ends up getting taken down before you can really cover any ground at all, it becomes a lot more difficult. They're going to have to push straight into a stack right now. And smoke towards the CT spawn does come in, but as you can see, Amaterasu is still able to get some damage. Eventually pushes through. his teammate finding that initial frag, and I think they're aware that Snorlax is still in the back of his bomb site, actually, so there we go. The coach steps it up for a quick double kill. Through the smoke, Sai pulls it back. He may be able to even stop the bomb plant, which he will, but now it's the 1v1. The final player coming in from Banana. The bomb's being stuck, but DG, he has no idea. He manages to do it. Apologies, I did hurt my throat there. But how was he allowed to do that? There's so little time left at that point that I think it was Skills coming in from Banana should be aware that he just has to swing immediately. He waits long enough to give him time to go ahead and finish the bomb plant and then get his gun out. It was an awkward time to choke, don't lie. Not for the player, but for me, I choked while trying to commentate it. Sai, okay, running down mid. Communication? Apparently not, eventually. I think Reckless might have just realized he was being shot at rather than actually having any teammates communicated to him, which, why would you do that? Three v 3. Only pistols, of course, in play. Oh, hang on. X-Cali's just in the spawn in the apartments right now, and they have no idea. This is going to be eventful, let's put it that way. CZ, though, not the ideal weapon, especially when there's 3 players all kind of grouped up. So let's see how that's going to go for him. Eventually takes the shots, gets a good bit of damage in. Actually, a dink, I believe, being found onto Sakula within the last couple of seconds, but he does end up getting taken down to 60 in HP himself, so he can't really afford to stick around. Swaps out to a Deagle to give the chance for the 1 Deags. And they're actually just going to run a straight up Banana. Excali's plan was to go up Banana, run around into the spawn towards A so that he could help out his teammates, but in the meantime, Let's Quit had actually followed him back down mid and have taken control of this bomb site now. There's 2 players in towards the CT spawn. They are going to actually boost up skills. He may be able to get something done with just this P250. They have no idea. Unfortunately, only 1 bullet being connected before he's forced to fall back off. And eventually Sakula going to go ahead and take 1 kill for himself. Already a low HP player who will be finished off. And with that, Skills is the last man standing, which didn't last very long at all. Double up setup. This is the switch up for Entity, I guess. Let's see what they can get done. If this one doesn't work for them, then most likely they're on an eco in this next round. At that point, then it's map and series point probably for Let's Quit. By the time the actual guns are allowed to come out again. That was a nice shot though from Snorlax. Ended up tagging Reckless up through the wall, I think. Nice shot by Sai as well. I mean, taking all these tight little angles on the AWP, working out for them early on. Man advantage and some damage in their favor. With a minute and just under 10 seconds still remaining. You can see Entity, of course, kind of shifting back into a much more passive approach. With the man advantage, they can fall back off. They still have some smokes, they still have some flashes, etc., and a Molotov to delay the actual push once it eventually comes in. So not really fighting for the map control anymore. Instead, just holding those bomb sites themselves. Amaterasu able to find 1 more, so the advantage being extended here by Entity, and even more so as Sai takes himself a second on the op, finishing up the player who'd been tagged up early on towards Banana. Excali, he decides it's time to push up on mid and spots the player out on long. And that leaves only DG in towards the apartments, and he's been flanked out by Excali. I mean, why not? It's strange that they remain so aggressive even when they have such an advantage, but I mean, it's working right now for Excali anyway. They're only losing 1 player there with DGQ, or DG rather, jumping out of the balcony and taking 1 with him. Not too big of a deal. This one, of course, being the pretty much eco from the D side. Although, surprisingly, 2 players have bought quite a lot. I think that was because they didn't really have too much money. Although, 1,500 was spent by the coach, 1,500, and then also the utility with the smoke and 2 flashes being purchased up by QZ. So they definitely could have had enough to just take the eco in this one and buy in the next round. Not too sure why they didn't go for it. Let's see if it's going to work out for them. The AK in the hands of Reckless. He is low HP, but still manages to find one. Of course, Amaterasu and the Pit having trouble. Dinked down to 7 HP and eventually traded out there. He'll have to take the one before going down. Reckless gets another on the AK. This man just cannot be stopped right now. DG with one on long, and this could be coming towards the end of it right now. Let's Quit. All they done was bought 1 rifle, some pistols and Kevlar, bit of utility, and they have gone ahead and flip this round on its head. It's Excali left in a 1-on-3. He's been spotted and 1-tapped by Reckless, who's just on a tear right now. Sai getting so aggressive here, willing to take that peek in towards Banana. Does end up working out for him as he catches the coach, unfortunately, caught out in the open. He does, of course, fall back off pretty much immediately. He's actually gone back around towards A. They've entrusted just a single player on B being Skills, which is surprising. Normally, if you're going to leave one player on B and take a little bit of a gamble towards A early on, you'll probably have that player pushed up around the wall, jump peeking or else holding it with an op so that he can at least get info, take one shot and then fall back off. Oh my god, Reckless through the smoke takes down Sai. He'd been slightly tagged up early on, but either way, didn't even have the vision there and was still able to make it work. Skills trading out to the op now instead. Needs to be careful. Oh, spots out the shoulder of Reckless and will finally put a stop to the man that has been just having so much impact over these past 2 rounds for Let's Quit. QZ, he wants revenge. Oh my god, he's just so quick. He's lined up on the angle and he peeks in and got what I believed was a headshot judging by the lineup, but apparently not. Either way, more than enough for the kill to be found. MP9 long range, spamming away, does some good damage. It's just a very hectic round right now. There is no defuse kit in play for the CTs, which is the main issue with this bomb already ticking away. Utility-wise, there's 1 Molotov for them to try and hold off at least one of these angles for an extra couple of seconds. You can see instantly forces them back around towards the CT angle instead. But as they find a frag on Banana, suddenly it's a very winnable position. QZ and DG both low. The USP coming in big time. It's all onto QZ. He will end up going down. There's no defuse kit, but there's just about enough time, I believe. A couple of seconds spare, or a few seconds spare. As Cali willing to be able to get that defuse in and should have an upgrade to an op if he goes ahead. I was going to say goes to the back corner, but he's able to find one just beside him on the steps. Of course, we do have to remember that Let's Quit didn't actually put in... I can't actually remember what I was going to say. They do have a, most importantly, they do have another bike coming into this round. So even with Entity having taken that previous one, the fact that it was still a relatively close round, coming down to only 1 player surviving, is the main issue. Because as you can see, a couple of SMGs being forced into the hands of Entity here. 2 MP9s, not a lot of utility, no defuse kit again in play, and already having lost 1 player, not ideal. Next Cali will be able to win out an important duel there against Reckless at least, but he ends up taking quite a bit of damage in the meantime, so that still weakens the A defense a bit. But there's 3 players in position, and Let's Quit looking determined to commit towards this one. They ain't going to be quitting at all, surprisingly. Rasu from the graveyard gets 1, finds the 2nd on towards Sekula. And eventually the MP9, now given time to move up close range, will be successful in dropping QZ. It's all onto DG in a 1-on-2 now. He knows there's a player on the bomb site, unaware of the position of Snorlax, unfortunately, as he tries to force the 1 versus 1, moving his position around a little bit, may be able to do so over towards short. Oh, the Molotov is perfect. Yeah, that should be able to actually force that player into the open. Good bit of damage being found. The smoke just gets put down instead, though. Rather than trying to actually move out of the way of the Molotov. MP9, not ideal. Spamming through the smoke. What is that? gets up close and spots the shoulder of Snorlax, just taps away at it, and then spams the final player down without even having vision of him. Wallbang through smoke. 15-8 is the score now. It needs to be 7 rounds in a row for Entity just to keep themselves alive in this best of 3. And I don't think that's going to be happening, especially when you look at the buy that they have available in the first of those rounds. It's mostly just SMGs. It's a UMP, an MP9, an MP5, and then there's a FAMAS and a Deagle with very limited utility. This should be Let's Quit taking themselves a quick, not really a quick 2-0. It's been a relatively long series, all things considered, even though it's only been 2 maps. There we go, 2-man advantage already being found. We're going to have to swap it over to me doing the observing, because auto-director right now just doesn't want to work for us. As it looks like the commitment is going to come in towards B indeed. Skills is ready with a flash and an MP9. Blinds up the initial player. But of course he does still have to deal with JM, or rather the coach who's coming in through the smoke. Gets another before eventually going down. And made it a somewhat recoverable position here for Amaterasu, in all honesty. Still not going to be easy as he looks to try and push his way into the smoke and ends up getting spotted there by QZ, who finishes him off. 16-8 is the scoreline here on map number 2, so that makes 16-10 on Dust 2, 16-8 on Inferno, as Let's Quit take themselves a very convincing 2-0, I would say, overall. Especially considering they, of course, did have their coach playing, so it'd be interesting to see how they'd fare with their actual full 5-man roster, and it will be just to see that in their upcoming games in this tournament. But of course, guys, I do want to thank you all for watching. I hope you did enjoy. I'm going to go ahead and send it over onto the waste screen soon, of course, as this was the final game of the day. I'm not too sure what days the next games are going to be on. I stepped in today due to the original caster not being able to make it, so I'm not actually too sure of what the entire schedule is like. But I believe there is still quite a few rounds of these. It's a 5-round Swiss system, and this is only the 2nd round, so you definitely should be hitting that follow button above the channel if you want to make sure that you're going to be catching all of the future action. And as I said, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you did enjoy. I was Dean, and I brought you through all today's action.
Fill me out with your smile, like the sunshine brings the light. Fill me out with a flame, I will let you in this game. Take me out when I'm down, 'cause with you I'm safe and sound. 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 Bring that beat back.
Crack it.